Aguascalientes, Mexico. Welcome back, everyone, to Mexico, and today we are here in a brand new city, the city of Aguascalientes. Aguascalientes, Mexico. Beautiful Plaza de la Patria, the central plaza here in Aguascalientes. A very cool city with a very cool history. Lots of cool stuff going on here in the city of Aguascalientes. And today we're gonna explore a little bit around here, around El Centro, the center neighborhood of Aguascalientes. Come along. Thanks for clicking on the video. If you want to help out the channel and help it grow, I really would appreciate it. Click on the like button down there, the subscribe button, and the little bell next to it to be notified for when new videos drop. It really helps the channel grow because it's going to help the YouTube algorithm recognize this content and spread it to other YouTube viewers. If you'd like to support the channel monetarily, I would appreciate that as well. You can leave a super thanks by clicking this thanks button here and give a small donation to the channel. I appreciate your support. So back to the video, enjoy. Right here on the central plaza, Plaza de la Patria, there are a lot of very interesting old buildings. And of course, Plaza de la Patria here, the central neighborhood around Plaza de la Patria, is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. So all of the stuff around here is preserved. Two of probably the most well-known buildings here are the Catedral de Aguascalientes. This is an 18th century cathedral built in the 1700s. And over here, the Palacio, Palacio Gobierno. This is the government palace where all the central government functions happen here in Aguascalientes, but it's a very old building from way back in the day. Now, Aguascalientes, normally, in most of the cities that we've been to so far on our tour here of Latin America, normally you have a central plaza that was like the founding plaza, right, of the city. When the Spanish came here and conquered whatever indigenous people were here before, they usually, they put down a plaza right in the center and they build a church to start with. And that's not exactly how Aguascalientes was founded. Aguascalientes was actually like a collection of smaller villages or towns very nearby that are all now like neighborhoods within the city. But they sort of formed as like a stopping point and a safe haven along the roads between the silver mines north of here in Zacatecas and the other cities in the region. So where Aguascalientes is, it's actually a very small state. Aguascalientes, the city, and Aguascalientes, the state, have the same name. The state is very small, and it's sort of tucked in between two other much larger states here in Mexico. It's tucked in between Zacatecas to the north and Jalisco to the south, sort of southwest-ish. And basically, there were silver mines in Zacatecas back during the Spanish colonial empire, and moving the silver from the mines to the other cities down in like Guadalajara in Jalisco, and also down in like Mexico City where we were previous year to Aguascalientes, the roads were very dangerous, and the people on the roads would be attacked by like indigenous who were still living in the area and warring with the Spanish Empire. And so they created like sort of small little safe haven towns around this area, little settlements. And those eventually grew together to become Aguascalientes. And now those towns are actually like the oldest barrios of Aguascalientes. The Barrio Guadalupe and Barrio San Marcos to the west, and Barrio de la Sud and Barrio Encino to the south of here. And so Aguascalientes has a very interesting foundation story, very different from from some of the other places that we've been, which is why, of course, this church over here, the Catedral, is not like a cathedral from the 1500s or the 1600s, but it's from the 1700s. So it's quite old, but it's newer than some of the other places that we visited. So I think I want to go around, check out the central neighborhood a little bit. There's some really interesting things to see off of the plaza as well. I definitely want to go into the Palacio Gobierno, the like government palace here, and also into the Catedral to see what it's like inside. Let's check these places out, and then we can head outside of the Plaza de la Patria a little bit and see what else is in this neighborhood. Here we are inside the Palacio Gobierno, the governmental palace here in Aguascalientes, and I wanted to come inside just because this is a beautiful old building, old Baroque style building with like beautiful murals up on all the walls here. It's just a very, very cool building. And of course inside, amongst all the murals and the beautiful sunlight coming in through the skylights, it really is just a government building. There's government offices in here. You can come and like, I don't know, pay government fines and things like that. There's a stairwell that goes up here to the second floor. We can take a view real quick from up on the second floor. It's a really, really beautiful building. It's one of the things I really like about like, not all, but like a lot of the cities in South America and Latin America. They keep their government offices in like, you know, an old, like what would have been like the old Cabildo or something like that in the center of the old, like historic part of the city. And you end up with these beautiful buildings like this. Really cool murals on the walls. Just really, really nice. A really nice, cool old building. Outside and in. Very cool. Well, that's all I really wanted to see. Just wanted to show off the inside of this building. Let's go over and see if we can get inside of the Catedral. Here, the beautiful Catedral de Aguascalientes. Up close. Really, really beautiful cathedral. Like I said, from the 1700s, this was started in the early 1700s and finished sort of towards the mid 1700s. And really beautiful. You can take a look inside. Really, really lovely cathedral. We've seen, of course, a lot of cathedrals here, and this one is very, very nice. Maybe not the largest one, maybe not the most ornate or the most impressive one that we've seen, but very, very beautiful here on Plaza de la Patria. Now, another thing that they have on Plaza de la Patria here is just around the corner, from the cathedral. Right across from the cathedral is this. This is a very old and famous theater, Teatro Morelos. That is a very nice theater and a very nice building, but it's actually more famous because this Teatro Morelos was the site of the convention of 1914, the Revolutionary Convention of 1914. Now, here in Mexico, there have been a number of revolutions and like battles for independence, but the modern 20th century revolution from 1910 to 1920, the revolution against the Porfiriato, Porfirio Diaz, in 1914, the revolutionaries, they were all sort of like disparate armies, all fighting their own sort of separate revolutions. They came together here in Teatro Morelos in 1914 to have a convention and see if they could agree on a set of common goals. And they didn't necessarily fully agree on a set of common goals, but it was a very important historical event for the history of Mexico, when the first time that the revolutionary groups, the revolutionary armies of like Emiliano Zapata and Pancho Villa, like when they met here in Teatro Morales. And in fact, Aguascalientes has a number of like ring roads that circle around the city, and the main one is actually called Avenida de la Convención de 1914, the Avenue of the Convention of 1914. So it's a very famous event here that occurred here in Aguascalientes. Now, in addition to those barrios that I mentioned before, the original like 4 barrios of Aguascalientes, there's sort of a 5th barrio that I guess would be considered one of the older barrios, even though it was a barrio that was like sort of brought up during the Porfiriato. Now, the Porfiriato, I sort of mentioned this very briefly in some of the videos that we made in Mexico City, but during the late 1800s, there was a president here in Mexico, Porfirio Diaz, who was really like a dictator here in Mexico for 30 years in the late 1800s and early 1900s. And his during his rule, there was like major industrial growth in Mexico, including growth of the not just industry, but also infrastructure, like railroads, the massive Mexican National Railway. A lot of it was built during the Diaz era, the Porfiriato, as it's called. But there was also massive wealth inequality, which ultimately led to the Mexican Revolution in 1910 and 1920. So there is actually a neighborhood over here, like on the east side of Aguascalientes, that's called Tres Centurias. And it is a neighborhood that sort of popped up around what was originally a major workshop and maintenance facility for the railroad, for the locomotives and things like that for the Mexican National Railway. And that was actually there was a major economic boom here in Aguascalientes during that late 1800s, early 1900s, during the Porfiriato, because of the placement of that workshop. Having the workshop brought in massive railway traffic, which brought in jobs. It really boosted the economy here, and it really added to the growth of the city during that era. Here on the back side of the Palacio Gobierno, the governmental palace, is the Jardín del Palacio. Jardín del Palacio, the palace garden. Nice little plaza around the back side of the governmental palace. This whole area, actually, there are a lot of these little sort of plazoletas, right? Like little mini plazas. Very cool, mosaic here. There's actually a parking garage underneath, which I think is for municipal parking, for the Palacio Gobierno. And right over here, there's the Plaza Patrio Joyero, Centro Joyero, which is a little shopping mall that I think is mostly clothing and jewelry stores, but a little Centro Comercial, a little shopping mall here. And this actually Centro District around here is a very commercial district. There's a lot of malls. There is another Centro Comercial nearby here. In fact, it's just a block down this way, south, past the Piedra Solar. This, I don't know what this is. It's a beautiful sculpture from 2003. Very cool. Piedra Solar. But yeah, down here just like south of here, I think like a block down, there's like a Centro Comercial, a mall, where you can see around here, just like looking just outside of the plaza. These are all like clothing stores and things like that. Seems to be like a car tunnel that goes underneath. I wonder if this is just to go down the parking, or if this is like a tunnel that passes underneath the plaza. I don't know. Around the other side of the monument here in Plaza de la Patria, there is this really nice fountain. Aguascalientes, a Manuel M. Ponce. Really nice. Some street vendors here, shoe shiners on both sides, and there's like a nice little pedestrian walk through here that starts here on the block of the plaza and actually continues up this way. If we keep going up here a couple of blocks on this like pedestrian walk, there are actually some other cool stuff to see that are sort of near Centro. Up north, maybe like, I don't know, 3 blocks or so, there's a little area where there's 3 like markets, mercados, that you can go check out. And this here is Avenida Francia, which is kind of like the ritzy avenue. There's a couple of like fancy hotels on this avenue here, but very nice plaza. Really like this. I'm gonna try and cross here and head into the like little commercial pedestrian walk, because if we go up there and loop around, there are actually a couple of cool museums over that way that I'd be interested to take a look at. I'm not going to go in today because I don't want the video to be too long, but maybe for future videos, like there's some cool things to check out. There's a history museum. A nice commercial pedestrian walk here. I really like these. This is like something that I've seen personally in like pretty much every city that we've been to. Every city has sort of like near the central square has like a pedestrian walk for at least a few blocks, where there are like kiosks in the center, maybe some like street music performers over here, and lots of like shops, cafes, restaurants lining the way. This kind of reminds me of like Salta, just off of the in Salta in Argentina, where we were, just off of the Central Plaza in Salta. They had a very similar commercial walk like this. You know, honestly, when I think about Aguascalientes and Salta, I don't know, they're very, very similar. They remind me of each other a lot. Both in desert climates, both founded as like sort of safe haven settlements along the road between 2 larger, older cities. Very cool. But if we keep going up this way, we can cut over and head over to the west and check out those museums that I mentioned, and then hopefully in a future video we can actually go inside and check out those museums. I think that'd be fun. And maybe also in a future video we can head up north here, check out the markets. Also further up to the north, like a couple more blocks up by where the markets are, there's the Museo Nacional de la Muerte, the National Death Museum, or the Museum of Death, which sounds creepy, but I've heard is actually quite a cool museum, and it's a very famous attraction here in Aguascalientes. So maybe we'll see that. Maybe we'll see that in another video as well. Very nice little pedestrian walk through the commercial district here. It is really nice. Having something like this in your downtown is something that I just really like, and it's something that doesn't happen super often in a lot of cities in the United States where I'm from. a lot of cities in the U.S. where I'm from. No, that's it. A lot of cities where I'm from in the United States. The downtown sort of center has kind of been gutted, and been gutted in a lot of places like this near the downtown have been replaced with like parking lots because people drive. Lots of people drive like everywhere, and even Aguascalientes is a city where like people drive a lot. There is a public transportation system. You just saw the bus go by right in front of us, but it's a more car-centric city than a lot of the cities where we've been so far. But even so, they still have this like pedestrian commercial district down here in El Centro, which is really nice. Here along calle Montezuma, on the sort of on the backside of the cathedral. It's actually right over there. It's a nice little cafe, restaurant, alt-rock pub, classic OXXO, the Casa de la Cultura Cultural Center here. And just down here, about halfway down the block, there is the Museum of History. The History Museum, which I think is probably something that we'll end up seeing in its own video. It sounds like something I would do on this channel. See a history museum. And is this it? No, I don't think this is it. This is a very cool building though, whatever it is. Actually, I think it's down here. Yeah, just down here, like on the right, maybe? You can find it on our way, of course. There's a lot of nice, like, cafes and shops, stuff along this street, Calle Montezuma. But, let's see. Here. This is the Centro de Artes Visuales, Center of Visual Art. It's part of the Casa de Cultura. This, I think, right here, this little building right there is the Archdiocese, the office of the Archdiocese. And here it is, the History Museum. Museo Regional de Historia, the Regional History Museum. Which, like I said, looks very nice. There's a little taste. We'll definitely be coming back here for its own video to check out the History Museum. And here at the end of this little stretch of Calle Montezuma, there is another church, another beautiful old church. This is the Templo de la Merced, Temple of the Merced. Beautiful church. There are actually a lot of churches and temples like this, templos, around this area, around El Centro. You can see the cathedral is just down there at the end of the block. And this Templo de la Merced right here. And the oldest one, actually, I think in this area, is just a few blocks over that way, and that is the Templo de Guadalupe in the Barrio Guadalupe that I mentioned before. That Barrio Guadalupe is the oldest of those four barrios, those four old barrios in the city. And Templo Guadalupe, I think, is one of the oldest churches here in the city. It's from back in like the 1600s, built back in the early 1600s. So I think this is a good place to end the video, right here in front of the beautiful Templo de la Merced. What can I say? Aguascalientes. It seems like a really cool city. We haven't been here very long. Only been here briefly, and only had a chance really to check out like the neighborhood where we've been staying and also the Centro here. But there's a lot of cool stuff to see. A lot of it I mentioned here in this video, and a lot of it we're going to be seeing in future videos, so stick around for those. I hope you enjoyed this video. There's plenty more to come from here in Aguascalientes, so we'll see you in the next one.